But there's a point where you get to an age where you shouldn't be watching
that. It's the man at the back of the cinema in the Mac offering to share his popcorn is the person who should not be in there.
Or remember when we had wet play and we at school.
Wet play.
Yeah, wet play, not that wet play.
And I love the way that they assumed that as a man, I would also know how to fix a flipping puncture. No. Not a clue, mate.
I haven't got a clue.
Not a clue.
No.
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, backcomb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number flipping 16.
16?
16
That can't be
of
right.
this. So Bring Back the 80s podcast. Andy Jackson here.
James Alderson on the mic.
There on the mic, on the MC. So if you were with us last time around, we started doing movies, and we've got a little season of themed movies coming up at the moment. We're on the romantical movies.
Well, it's what we find most natural.
Yes.
You and I, Andy.
We're romantic guys.
Yeah, well, the ladies and gents, whatever. That's it. We thought, let's start. We're gonna do comedy, action, whatever it is, but we'll start with romance because it's our default.
Absolutely. We are the romantic guys. We are always there with a compliment.
Yeah.
Always there holding the door.
Roses.
Always, all that kind of stuff going on. And always, whenever you've done, I don't know about if it's the same in your house, James, whenever you give your other half flowers, the instant thing that they're thinking is, what have you done?
Yeah.
Always.
Yep.
What have you done? Yeah. Even when I've bought flowers from a shop, somebody, I've been coming out, another customer said to me, oh, what have you done?
I know, sexist.
Offended. I got
a lovely bunch of flowers for the wife off of a lamppost the other day, and she said, how much for these? And I said, for free. Someone just left them there. And but that's Lee Park for you. But anyway, romance. It's not dead.
Not dead.
Here we are.
Definitely not. Before we crack on with our cringeful movies, and I was saying that there is one you're going to watch, and
How dare you?
You are going to say, I'm just thinking, whose idea was this? Who was going to see this? Did we think twice? That clip is coming up in a moment. But before we do that, for the first time ever, I'm actually going to play this, I think, at the right time. Ooh. It's time for a reminder of the current mystery sound. Tell us who or what is this?
Tension.
They don't make them like that anymore, do they?
No.
They do not make them like that anymore.
No. Bit of trombone.
Yeah. If you know what that is, let us know in the comments on YouTube or TikTok or wherever we are these days. At the moment. You can win a lovely I've ever modelled this before. It is. I can say this is super soft.
It is lovely.
Bring back the 80s. T-shirt. Yeah. It's in the one colour, obviously, but it's got all the iconic things. It's got the bright orange glasses. It's got the Pac-Man, and it's got all the stuff is on there.
And a VHS cassette.
Yes,
with a bit of romance on it.
Yes. So if you want one of those, just let us know what you think that is. Alternative, you don't want one of these, you can get tickets to any of James's comedy gigs across the South.
Yeah.
Which are just about everywhere, James. Everywhere I look, you've got a comedy gig on.
Some Friday or Saturday, there's always on somewhere in the South.
And it might just be a tiny little village hall.
It might be.
But there will be a flipping A-list TV celebrity there.
Yeah, wondering what's happened.
Yes. Wes, let me speak to my agent. What am I doing here?
Am I in bumfuck village hall somewhere?
Having been to a few of your gigs, though, James, I have to say, they always come good, though, don't they?
They're always good.
Always come good.
Yeah.
Always good. So highly recommended.
Yes.
So we'll give you a little recap of those dates and things if you want to see, if you want to do that towards the end of this particular podcast. But we've built it up now.
Yeah.
So it's time for our first clip of romantical movies of this time round. Mm-hmm. Just tell me what, if anything, is actually right about the whole concept of this movie.
Imagine a boy who didn't know he had become a man.
My heart's beating so fast.
Mine too.
Imagine a girl who did know she had become a woman.
What are you looking at?
Your muscles.
What about them?
Now, who, James, was watching that?
I was.
But it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I call it a coming of age movie or whatever you want to.
Yeah.
But
I think that for teenage boys and girls, they were watching that. But there's a point where you get to an age where you shouldn't be watching
that. It's the man at the back of the cinema in the Mac offering to share his popcorn is the person who should not be in there.
I mean, it is the context of it and the idea of it is quite sweet. They're abandoned.
And in Victorian times. Yeah. Shipwrecked.
And they just are very young and they get older and discover each other and survive together. They're falling out and they argue and then they get together. So it's a sweet concept, but it is
it's just cringeful.
It has dubious reasons behind it, but it's very unique. The story's never been told since, in any similar way of two youngsters growing up together and falling in love or whatever.
Do you remember the name of the actress?
Oh my goodness, it was on the tip of my tongue when I was watching that, but not
Brooke Shields.
That's it,
Brooke Shields. But does anybody remember the guy?
No.
Christopher Atkins.
Is he still acting?
Who knows?
No.
Who knows?
Might be still on the island.
1980. That came out right at the beginning of our favourite decade of them all.
You see, by the time it came out on VHS, 83-ish, probably 84, I was all over that.
Yeah.
I was very interested in Brooke Shields. Lovely lady.
But as a younger person, but not an issue whatsoever.
No. And Christopher, of course, God love him.
Yeah.
Went on to do great things.
Obviously.
He's an accountant now. He's
working in Happy Eater.
With Meg Ryan.
Oh my God. Okay. But it's just one of those films that I could not bear. Can you imagine watching that with your kids now?
Oh God, no. I mean, it's not or your mum and dad.
No.
You sat there and it's like, oh my goodness, what are they doing? But that happened a lot in romantic films. There was always a sex scene.
Yeah.
Even if it's just Meg Ryan faking an orgasm in a cafeteria. And you were sat there watching a PG bit of romance and then
nothing worse than being sat on the sofa with your parents.
Yeah.
And so there's a bit of snogging or heavy petting.
Oh, it's always a
going
bed scene.
on.
And it was a silhouette of a lady's torso with the back the moon somehow shining through the window that lit it all perfectly. I remember when we had wet play and we were at school.
Wet play.
Yeah, wet play, not that wet play. This wet play at school. And there was 350 pubescent lads sat at school in the hall and they had this 14-inch bloody stupid telly on wheels and they played Top Gun. Why not? Brilliant. The first ever Top Gun. Great. Then, sure as eggs is eggs, probably not the right wording, Tom Cruise is having a sex scene and he's sliding up her body and my geography teacher nearly had a coronary.
Oh my God.
He ran in desperately trying to press the fast forward button and all the boys watching going, whoa! Desperately trying to get it to fast forward through because they caught you off guard. We're watching Top Gun.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a sex scene and this is no romance, surely. Top Gun is all about romance, isn't it?
Thing is, as well, as a child on turning into an adult, that was the only pornography that was available, apart from when the porn fairy's been and left the magazines under the bush or whatever.
Of course,
that was all we had.
And Joan Collins,
little things like that. Joan Collins in the stud,
the bitch in the stud. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Slip it in, not slip it in. Put it in. In the middle of a normal film, let's have some bit of bedtime action.
Weird.
I mean, obviously, it was a lot of it in that film, which, as you say, felt quite odd if you were the same age as them watching it.
Fine,
made sense. Brilliant.
I think the older we get now, the weirder it is to watch. I certainly would not feel comfortable.
No,
watching anything like that.
No, and I'm not happy you've played it. To be honest with you,
if you're offended, please send us a note and we'll
bin it.
Oh dear! Thank goodness! Thank goodness that all the things that we do will never be on the internet forever, James.
No.
Thank goodness we can all hide our mistakes.
I think we're fine.
I think it's not going to be an issue whatsoever. Ready for our next clip?
Yeah, please.
Featuring for a change, featuring an older woman.
Madame?
Hey, mate. What is this?
It's calamares, sir.
I know that. But what I'm asking you, Zorba, is what is it?
Sir, it's calamares. It's a type of fish.
Well, it don't look much like fish to me.
Sir, I can promise you, it's fish. This fish was pulled fresh from sea this evening by my brother in a boat called Noah. Enjoy your meal.
They're that type, you know. If they'd been at the Last Supper, they'd have asked for chips. Very nice, the squid, isn't it? Pardon me. I say the squid, the octopus, it's really quite nice.
Now, I've gone with that clip as well, just as a little reminder of about how unadventurous how foreign food was to us at the time.
I thought she was having a When Harry Met Sally moment there on the table, slid under the table. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
because battered fish was the only fish you had.
Yeah,
really.
And to eat a squid or an octopus.
Oh.
I mean, my God, it was
Something
the
at the zoo.
I'm not having any of this greasy foreign rubbish. Was the term. So it was Pauline Collins was obviously the main.
Shirley Valentine.
It's Shirley Valentine as well. Tom Conti was the love interest in there.
Yeah.
And I think the line in there, "You want to come and fuck on my boat?" I think it was, wasn't it?
Was it?
It's, I think probably. Sorry if I've just committed a hate crime by doing that accent,
No.
but
What was the accent? Welsh.
Yeah,
So,
it
was Welsh. Oh yes, and I remember him now.
Yes.
God, yes,
yes,
yeah. And didn't she have a young love interest as well?
I think she was. I think she was just rediscovering her sexuality.
Great,
as a 42-year-old woman. But I just love the fact that in those days you go on a foreign holiday, but you don't want to eat the foreign food.
No,
you just purely go because you want the sunshine. You're not interested in the culture.
No, thanks.
Not interested in anything. Maybe a bit of plate smashing or something like that because that's fun. But for God's sake, don't give us an octopus.
No, it's funny, isn't it? And like he said, all the sort of casually racist stuff that your older parents and grandparents would do, garçon and all this kicking the fingers.
It's like the way he casually called the waiter, "All right, Zorba."
Yeah.
It's like, fucking hell.
and throwing it, but even then they're giving him the look, aren't they? To say, "Oh my God," which is great because it shows that not everybody was like that. These were just sort of cliches. But yeah, Shirley Valentine, real romance and I think it was almost like a film of hope for middle-aged ladies when they watched that to think, yeah, ballsy, you can carry on, you do what you want to do.
I think off the back of movies like that as well, it did actually spur women who just had enough to actually say, do you know what, I have had enough actually. I'm going to go to Greece and I'm going to go and shag a waiter and that is, take it or leave it.
Yes, and I think a lot of women had stronger roles. There was a lot more forthright women shown in films as well coming on, even like Pretty Woman. I know we said it's 1990, but she was a real ballsy type as well, and you got a lot more like that certainly into the late 80s. And a lot of men being very confused. What's going on with this bird? Jesus, I'm not watching that again. She's fiery. Yeah, mate. Yeah, she's normal. She's a normal person. Oh dear, not delicate and demure.
But that is how although obviously it's they've turned the volume up and it's a cliche. That is what a lot of society was like in the 1980s. And we look back fondly, mostly, but some of it was some bits of the 80s were not good, James.
No, and Dirty Dancing's the classic film where she's all sort of, and falling over him, and he's like, well, don't put baby in the corner. I'm 48, she's 15. I don't know what the age difference was, but but she was meant to be the delicate, I'm so weak and can't do this, and he's like, I'll help you, and they're like, call someone. It's not right. But here we've got women who,
strong women, strong independent women. Yeah,
be pathetic and whine about your bloody calamari. I'm getting on with life, mate. Yeah, no, that's a great choice.
Speaking of strong, independent women, I'm just going to digress off topic just for a second or so. This has reminded me of the stereotypes that you're supposed to get. You know that I've got a job working on a campsite now.
Yes.
And there were a couple of younger girls who'd been out on their cycles. They'd hired cycles.
Yes.
And one of them had a puncture.
Oh.
And I was called over to assist, and they said to me, one of them said to me, "Oh, we were going to be strong, independent women, but we've given up here. We don't quite know what to do." And I love the way that they assumed that as a man, I would also know how to fix a flipping puncture. No, not a clue, mate.
I haven't got a clue.
Not a clue.
No.
How to take a wheel off. I thought if it was like on the front wheel of the bike, I could have probably got away with it. But there were the chains was getting gears and stuff are getting all muck on my hands and everything. No. So I at that time, really, I should have been offended for being stereotyped as a man who can actually do anything now, because mostly we are shit, aren't we?
Yeah.
Anyway,
did you teach those girls to dance?
I didn't teach them to dance.
The campsite.
Well, the good thing was that they actually had to call the bike RAC people, or whoever it was, and they came and fixed it, and obviously somebody knew what they were doing, so it had a happy ending to it. But
this is not appropriate. I'm terribly sorry if you're listening to this.
It's another one from your book of condensed porn movies. It
started with the two girls simply asking this old bloke to come over, and he couldn't do it, so they had a happy ending. Oh my goodness!
But anyway, back to the topic of the 80s movies very shortly. We've got one more clip to do, but before we do that, it's time for a surprise for us all, James.
Yes, with a happy ending.
James's special lunchbox surprise.
It's like that. I was going to say happy endings like that holiday in Thailand once, isn't it? That's the story for another day with a surprise, but also
have a little look.
Yes,
have a little look in there because we talked about this last week.
Yes.
And it got me thinking, what are they like these days? So I got a little pack,
yeah.
Chewits. And we couldn't remember the town of the bus depot, but it's Barrow-in-Furness.
Yes.
Chewier than Barrow-in-Furness bus depot.
Yes.
And then the dinosaur goes, and then he's chewing away at the building, and they're suggesting that the Chewits are chewier than that. That's this weird. It was quite well done, wasn't it? Do you remember that?
I do remember it. Yeah, it was like a sort of animated thing.
Yeah, but it was. I think it was probably stop motion.
Yes,
something, and that will always stick it. And look at what they got on the packaging. They've still got that dinosaur on the packaging, which is lovely. 40 years later, to still be using that, or whether they brought it back. Do you remember I said that they should bring back the old adverts to try and attract the 80s fans and the middle-aged folks to buy products?
Well, I'm already liking this because on the pack it says it's strawberry flavour, which means there is no strawberry.
You won't
in
find
it
a bit of fruit in that, mate.
No.
Unless you read the packet.
Look,
right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to just get you one out there, James.
Let me read the ingredients. See what the ingredients are. Oh no. Should we not read it?
Do we not? We
don't want it.
I can smell the sugar and artificialness the moment I've opened the packet here.
Well, it's got carrot in. That's weird, isn't it? It's got 3% strawberry juice.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Natural flavourings of egg white powder. That's weird, isn't it? And black currant. So that's quite strange. It's got 3% strawberry juice, but it's also got black currant and carrot in. Not sure what the carrot's doing. But hey, what do you think?
Well, I actually thought it was chewing gum.
But try to chop a bubble and spat it across the room.
Unlike chewing gum, it is actually dissolving, but it's got that chewing gum texture and flavour to it.
Well, it's got no hydrogenated fats or artificial colours and flavours. They did used to be darker colour.
Mm.
But
they're probably like E numbers and things like that as well. Actually, quite pleasant, not bad, not too bad at all, nice and tangy. Reminds me a bit of opal fruits.
Bit chewier though.
Mm.
Hence the name. I don't think much has changed about these, actually.
I think we will give them a solid 9 out of 10 for that.
Solid, suitable for vegetarians. And the whole pack, 118 calories.
That's not too bad.
Sign me up.
Not too bad at all, yeah. So I'm in favour of the Chewits as well. And a nice thing that they've kept the dinosaur from back in the day.
That is good. I do like the old adverts, as we tackled last time. And I do think they're missing the trick by not bringing them back. But maybe I'm just looking at it Romantically.
Maybe you are, James. And on the subject of romance, is it time for our final clip yet? We've already had a sneak preview.
Oh, what is it?
Of the final clip.
Can I just guess? Is that Tommy Lee Jones there? Or is that some other old bloke?
Some other old bloke. But I don't actually know who it is. If I'm quite honest, I don't know who he is.
Do I win a
but
t-shirt?
do you know who that is?
Well, it looks like Michael J. Fox, but it's
Let's
probably
have a
not.
look and see.
See why he's come back here? He's only come back for one reason, for the money.
That's not true. I want anything from you.
You're not going to get anything, not one penny. He's a loser.
I'm not a loser. Please, Jordan, come with me.
Get him out of here, please.
Stay out of this. This has nothing to do with you. Please.
Throw this bum out of here. Come on. No,
Hold it. Just hold it.
Jordan, don't go.
Okay.
If you walk out of this house right now, just don't bother coming back.
Dad, I'm going. I love him and I'm going.
You're not going anywhere. Jordan, stop her.
Put your hands off her. She's pregnant.
Oh!
You asshole!
Oh dear.
She's pregnant.
Is she?
Just
from that?
From that, yeah. It's all it takes.
Fall into a piece of art these days.
She's pregnant. She's pregnant.
She?
Yeah.
What was that? Was that Cocktail?
That was Cocktail.
Was it?
Yes, with Tom Cruise.
You see, again, all about making alcoholic drinks, slipping a bit of romance.
Oh, yeah.
I only wanted to see how they made a sex on the beach.
By stealth, James.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's doing that. Oh, God. But that was the relationship there between Tom Cruise and what's his face? Was it an Australian actor?
I can't remember
the old
his
guy.
name. Yeah.
That was
yes,
brilliant.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because he was the one. He was teaching his bartending skills to him, handing down from almost like from father to son.
Of course.
And of course, when Tom Cruise started in the bar making the cocktails, he didn't have a bloody clue
No, he was a bit of a
what he
dick,
was
wasn't he?
doing.
Yeah.
But he ended up obviously being the star of the show.
And that relationship, I thought, was the key thrust to the film, and it was nice. But then.
Bit of love interest in there as well.
Bit of romance.
Yeah.
Slip it in.
Bit of slipping that in as well. But also you got to have the angry dad in there as well. Every older man, younger girl, angry dad as well. It's got all the makings of. Yeah. To be honest, the story of our lives.
Yeah,
James
it was Dirty Dancing. Angry dad. There he is. There's always an angry dad in the background. Yeah. Because back in the 80s, there had to be some sort of permission asked to date a woman, or you had to almost woo the dad. I remember my first serious girlfriend, that would have been probably in the late 80s, and I really had to try and win over the dad. He wasn't having any of it, and I was stealing his daughter away from him. That's how it always looked. And I guess it's still the same these days. I remember turning up for a posh meal, and I was about 15, and I had done my tie up, and I tucked my tie into my waistband. But I got into the habit of this because it didn't poke through the bottom of the blazer at school. but then they all accused me of being common for tucking my tie in, which I guess looking back is a bit weird. But it is a bit weird tucking a tie in. But yes, there's always these things, these faux pas, these little things you've got to not do wrong and not do right to try and get it right. And obviously, getting the guy's daughter up the duff is probably a bit of a faux pas, actually.
Definitely.
Probably not on the list of things to impress the dad by.
No, I don't think I impressed the dad of my last wife.
Oh.
Because I think, you do the whole permission thing.
Yeah.
It's good. And you go, and I went round to ask his permission.
Yes.
But now I look back at it, this is probably why things didn't go swimmingly well. I was actually at the time married to somebody else.
Oh, that's not the normal way, is it?
We were separated, but I was married to somebody else.
Did you say, just to clarify, I will divorce the other one?
It's all making sense why I wasn't welcomed immediately with open arms.
You are romantic.
But it is a thing that you still, the father still has to be asked for permission, even as far as, earlier this year, in fact, when the phone call came last year from my now son-in-law asking for permission to marry my daughter.
He didn't FaceTime it.
He didn't FaceTime it. No, it was on
just phoned.
Just phoned. Yeah.
No, I'd say no then. No, but the bloody effort,
weird?
mate.
Isn't that weird though? That tradition. I mean, I like it, and I like the fact that he did it.
Yeah.
But isn't that weird that we still have that tradition? It's like the father still owns the daughter,
giving them away. It is a bit weird. I think if I had a daughter, it would be nice for the guy to give me the heads up You don't have to ask permission, but you can say just so you know, I'm
I'm going to happen.
I'll be like, thanks, mate.
Yeah,
Good luck,
yeah.
You know.
Maybe that's more what it is. Then it's like a warning.
It is. I think it's better like that. And I think the problem with the 80s films is there was never any dad that was actually very happy.
No.
Father of the Bride, was that 80s? With, what's his face, Steve Martin?
Yes.
Late 80s maybe. He was involved in all the wedding arrangement and everything. Always angry, always stressed. They're trying to make him out as though he was enjoying himself sometimes, but it wasn't. He was really off his head and getting anxious and worried and cross about things. So there was never a very happy dad in these romantic films.
That is a very true fact. The dads were always angry, always a bit punchy in the end, weren't they?
And the mums were always cooing over the love interest of their daughters.
Yes.
Going, oh, he's amazing.
There was a formula to these, wasn't it? The mum used to love the love interest, the dad used to hate him, and it all ended up going okay in the end, didn't it?
It was all right in the end.
Yeah. Look, it worked out okay for Tom Cruise.
I thought you were going to say your marriages.
He's a multi-billionaire now, isn't he?
Bless
So
him.
he's done all right, isn't it? Yeah.
Nothing wrong with him.
Absolutely nothing wrong with him. Nothing wrong with him at all. He's very
normal.
He's not got any issues whatsoever. He's not been brainwashed by any cults or anything at all. Everything is perfectly.
Well, that's what happens when you make so many cocktails. That's the problem. He spent months making cocktails, and he just lost his mind.
I think when you're practicing, it's one for the customer, one for yourself, just to as you to make sure that they're going okay, isn't it?
Did they have a soundtrack to Cocktail? Must have done.
Yes, it was. It's going to come to me in a minute. Perhaps we'll play a small clip here.
Yeah,
just for a second.
Okay,
before we get copyright struck. But there was music. Yeah.
Okay, of course there was. Top-selling album.
Indeed. Which we, again, why would we remember? Why would we remember? Because that was a love movie, wasn't it?
Yeah. Whether it was advertised as one, I don't know. Because the thing with Tom Cruise is he had some real alpha male roles, didn't he? So we were probably lulled into a false sense of security there with that film.
Not realising that we were watching
it was mostly,
movie, but yeah.
mostly romance. You go in and go, I can make a I don't know, a wall banger or whatever it is that they're doing in the cocktails.
Slow,
then
comfortable, screw up against the wall.
That's it. Oh
Yes.
yeah, and oh no, it's bloody romance, and oh god, it's a love interest, and oh god, just hoping there'll be a sex scene.
Was there a sex scene in that one? Well, she's got pregnant, so there must have been.
You'd imagine there would be.
You would imagine. It's not an immaculate conception, is it?
Some sort of soft focus. There's bound to be soft focus. There's bound to be a saxophonist in the corner of the bedroom somewhere, like Kenny G.
It's always Kenny. He's the only one.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
Yes, so good old Kenny G. What was that? Something on the Water? I don't know what it was, but that was the classic Kenny G. And he was always in there. In the bedroom. He's
a multi-millionaire off the back of
what he can't do with his horn.
Absolutely. And on that note, James, on that note, I did say we'd give a little reminder of where people can see your comedy shows.
All right.
If they're at it. If you know what our mystery sound is this year, you can choose between the Bring Back the 80s
T-shirt.
Super Soft T-shirt, available in all the sizes, or if you want to see some really good stand-up comedy, where can people find out what's on and where?
If you go to stitches.fun, that is a website, stitches.fun. There's about 20 different venues across Hampshire and Sussex and Surrey. Or any Friday and Saturday night, there's a show on somewhere. And now I want to, obviously you're on the radio in the evenings.
Yes.
But can I just ask you on one of your shows just to read something from Straight, Morning Glory, Touching the Void or The Negotiator?
I'll turn it into
a little excerpt.
Into a little feature that we can do.
Yes, you see. Oh, here we go. The waitress leaned on the counter. I'm going to leave you with that.
Leave us with that. She sleeps hanging in suspense.
That's what she was, yeah.
Yes, breaking news. I am back on the radio. Who would have thought, after I said nobody's going to want to employ an old man DJ?
Everybody wants to.
Turns out not one but two radio stations do. So I'll see you Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. till 3 on Easy Radio, and at the weekend on Nation Radio, right across the whole country from 9 till 11.
It's too much.
It's too much going on. That and the Bring Back the 80s podcast. Yeah. Oh my God, it's busy times. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've liked this little podcast, for God's sake, tell one other person.
Even one. Just one.
So we're not just talking to ourselves here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. More 80s movies. Might be action, might be comedy next time. It'll be one of those.
Plenty of them, but they'll probably slip in romance.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app, and don't forget there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.